Welcome back to another episode of the Even Your Dynasty Show. Today's episode, we're going to talk about what I'm viewing as kind of the biggest problem with the San Francisco Giants this season and kind of why they're sitting 3 games under 500 on the season. Now, doesn't have them out of the wild card hunt by any stretch. I know I've had this talk with a lot of people where they are still right there in it. I mean, it's kind of insane how terrible the National League is right now, where the second wild card spot and like the 13th spot in the NL are separated by only like 2.5 games. So, it's not like they're out of it. They're right there in playoff contention. But as a whole, I mean, I don't think anyone can deny that this season has been a disappointment so far. They made a lot of big moves. Everybody thought they were going to be probably better than they are. And they're 36 and 39. They're 3 games under 500 going into this game against Rickwood or in Rickwood against St. Louis. Now, this is a series they're going to need to figure out a way to win, plain and simple. So hopefully it starts today. I think they should be playing this game and showing some pride and doing everything they can, treating this almost like a playoff game. Um, going back to where, Willie laced him up at one point. So I think it's important to the franchise, to the fans, to everybody. So hopefully they can show some pride today and show a lot more fight in them than they have the last couple days. So, really quick, as always, I appreciate the support from everyone. If you do enjoy the content I'm putting out, can you please drop a like and subscribe to the channel? I enjoy doing this. We're going to get the live show going, I believe, tomorrow. Dan is not available today, so we're going to try and get it going tomorrow, which with the off day, I think that's going to be better anyway. So don't know a time yet. It'll probably either be early morning or evening. I'm going to try and see if we can do the evening because I think that'll be more fun for engagement. A lot more people probably are available late at 8:30 p.m. So we'll get that set up and I'll get that scheduled and I'll send something out, kind of giving everybody a heads up on that one. So now back to the issue at hand here, and that's frankly the Giants' starting pitching is a problem. It has been wildly disappointing this season. They entered the season, and a lot of the talk was about how they had so many starters available. They had Webb, Snell, Harrison, Hicks, Wynn, Beck, and then Cobb and Robbie Ray were going to come off the IL eventually, and and provide them a lift later in the season. Well, here we are in June. The Giants are currently 29th in innings pitched for pitching for their starters. They're 20th in ERA. Because of that, it's had a negative trickle-down effect on their bullpen, which, yes, the bullpen was shaky early in the season. It has gotten stronger, but now these guys are getting overworked excessively. So, there's a problem there, and we're going to get to that in a second. But now with the starting, that's where they sit on innings and ERA. Snell is on the IL, Harrison's on the IL, and then Cobb's on the IL, and he's had about a half a dozen setbacks. Ray is on the IL, but he is, he's working his way back right now. He is in the complex league. He just faced 9 hitters in his last outing, went 2 1/3 innings. He's been doing a decent job there. He's clearly just facing hitters, trying to build up. Hopefully, I think he does seem on track to be available after the All-Star break, barring any setbacks. So fingers crossed on him. I think he's the one with the best chance to actually provide something this season. I can't trust Cobb. And then Beck had the arm aneurysm. And I think Beck gets underrated. I felt like he was very underrated last season. He's kind of a glue guy in the pen that can help wherever needed. He could start games and get you 5 or 6 innings. He could throw the bulk roll where he gets, 3, 4, 5 innings after an opener. He was a guy they used in some pretty high leverage situations, and he had quite a bit of success. They used him in the 10th inning in extra innings last season quite a bit, and I watched him strand ghost runners quite a few times. He's a solid pitcher, and I think they're missing him a lot this season. So, especially from after the value he gave them last season. So, that's a guy that hopefully will get back and help. But now you look at their rotation, and Webb's doing what Webb does. He's kind of a lock for 6. Sometimes he's giving, he'll give you 7 some outings. He hasn't really pushed to 8, 9 in any games this season, but he's consistently eating up innings. He's not a problem at all. Hicks has not been able to get out of the fifth, it feels like, in a month and a half. Wynn has not consistently got through five. Harrison's the one guy that's actually consistently gotten into the sixth inning. Relatively. I mean, he's had quite a few outings where he only got through like four, but mostly he's been getting into the sixth. Now, the level of effectiveness, that's a big question mark. And then you have Snell, who, when healthy, has not been able to get out of the fourth inning, like at all this season. I think one game he got out of the fourth and he got knocked out like after 4 1/3. So, and that was against the Yankees. So they have just a massive problem there. And now because of that, we're now pulling up guys like Spencer Bivens and counting on them to give us 3 innings at a time. We're counting on Spencer Howard to give us 4 or 5 innings at a time. These guys are not guys that we should be relying on in bulk roles. I mean, if you want to look at Bivens as like a 1 inning guy, maybe a 2, I'd probably look at him a little differently, but like, and he's a nice story. I love, the unorthodox, unique route that he took to getting to the major leagues. Great for him. I think he can be a solid little relief pitcher, but the reality is that he's not a guy that you should be relying on for 3 innings at a time. And that's the situation the starters have now put this organization in, almost nightly. And then you have guys like Spencer Howard, who everybody was so happy watching him the first couple outings. And I was sitting there going, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, because all he's doing is throwing stuff right over the heart of the plate, which is what he was doing in Sacramento, where he had a 5+ ERA and guys weren't hitting him. Like, at some point, your luck is going to run out if you're going to keep throwing to the heart of the plate, and he is not pitching to corners. So it's something that they definitely need to address. Get these guys, figure out something for a starting rotation where you can get 5 or 6 innings every single night, because the trickle down is killing them. And it's funny that I'm going off on the pitching when the offense has been, inconsistent at best all season. But, frankly, they're only 3 games under 500 with an offense that's been not great. And everyone kind of expected the offense to not be great. The pitching has been the giant letdown. If the pitching was what they expected going into the season, this team would easily be, 3, 4, 5 games over 500 right now. And it's just not. And now, how do you address that? I mean, that's probably easier said than done. I was a big advocate for bringing up Mason Black. He did not look like the guy that I saw in Sacramento. And I don't mean that in the success or lack thereof at the major league level. When I say that, I mean in Sacramento, he was changing sidelines well, but he was throwing kind of a sinker down in the zone. He was getting ground balls. He was staying to corners like he was throwing strikes. He wasn't just all over the place out of the zone. And that's what all of a sudden he gets to the majors. And I don't know if he was trying to pitch around guys or, be too perfect, but he was falling behind way too many hitters. And then he'd come into the middle of the zone and get just rocked. So he wasn't ready. I don't think that means he's never going to be good, but he clearly has some things he needs to work on. And then, your other option is a guy like Carson Whisenhunt, who, yes, it would require a 40-man move. No, I don't care that it would require a 40-man move, because frankly, I could think of 5 guys off the top of my head right now that you could DFA and nobody's going to care. Starting with Bivens and Howard. Also looking at a guy like Kai Wei Tang, who has like a 10 ERA this season. And actually, I think if you count major leagues, it might be even higher. David VR is probably like a trade candidate. I don't think you'd DFA him necessarily, but I think he's a guy that you could easily move. How about Trenton Brooks, who looks about useless right now in the major leagues? He's a 4A player. And frankly, there are guys like Blake Sable I'd rather watch at first base. I'm hoping the second that Lamont Wade Jr. comes back, they just get that guy out of here. Like, send him to Sacramento, that's fine. But you could probably DFA him and clear him through waivers. In all reality, he has shown nothing at the major league level. So there's 5 guys right there. Pick one. So it doesn't really matter to me. But you could look at a guy like Carson Whisenhunt, and yes, you look at his year numbers, and they're not, they don't stand out. He's thrown 61 innings. In 15 starts. He's got a 4.87 ERA, 82 strikeouts, and a 1.57 whip. It's not phenomenal, but some of those things I do think would improve a little bit at the major league level. And when I say that, I mean, look at Kyle Harrison and how the walks went down as soon as he got there. It's a bigger zone in the majors. You're not dealing with the automated balls and strikes. You're also, he would get to pitch in some pitcher friendly environments. In Sacramento in home games, he has a 2.92 ERA. It's on the road that he's getting rocked. Well, when you're pitching in places like Reno, Albuquerque, Vegas, these are like launching pads. So the home runs are up for him. I wouldn't be shocked if that went down. He's got 1.18 home runs per nine. Who's to say that doesn't go down a little bit, even in the majors? Yes, I get it. It's better hitters, but you're playing half your games in Oracle Park. Like, it's different. You get to go to San Diego. You get to go to LA is neutral, but there are a lot of stadiums where it's definitely more pitcher friendly than what he's dealing with currently. And the last 5 games he started, 25 and 2/3 innings, 2.81 ERA, 1.48 whip. Again, still high. It's mostly the walks kind of dragging that up. I do think he could improve on those, and 27 strikeouts. On the season, 12.1 Ks per nine, 4.87 walks per nine. So, I mean, he's not a perfect, prospect by any stretch. His changeup is elite. His fastball, it can run in the mid 90s. I think his fastball can be successful enough playing off of his changeup. Breaking ball is definitely a big work in progress. That's not something he has a great breaking ball right now. I think he could really use that. But to me, more importantly, would be improving on his fastball, because being able to play that off his changeup would be huge for him. But the reason why I bring up a guy like Carson Whisenhunt is in his last 2 games that he's pitched in, he's thrown 89 and 90 pitches. Like, he's the one guy that is stretched out right now in the system that is probably close to ready, if not ready, possibly, that could come in and, probably can comfortably give you, 5, maybe 5+ innings. He's not a guy that would be stepping in there. And, what happened with Mason Black, where he hits his like highest pitch count of the season, and then you're trying to push him past that to get a 5th inning out of him. He's a guy that, he can give you 90 pitches comfortably, and that should be enough to get you through 5. Now, granted, we've watched with Blake Snell. It's not always the case. Sometimes if he's just not throwing strikes, it's not going to happen. But that's a guy that I would be trying to get up here, at least for right now, to address this. I mean, this is really truly an issue with the team right now. And we watched it last season. They're running 2 openers out there right now. We watched what happened to the pen last season when it was just Webb and Cobb basically giving them innings starting, and the pen just absolutely imploded in August. And I get we're all hopeful for these guys, for the Cobb, Rays, and Becks to come back and give them value, but we don't know for sure. And they are now. I will say one thing with the pen: Austin Warren is making his rehab in Sacramento. I think he's likely going to be back sooner than later. So the pen is going to get a quality arm back. So Bivens will probably be the guy that goes. I'd have to guess at that point. So there is a little bit of reinforcements on the way in the near term. But again, I don't, until they fix the starting pitching, this team is just a ticking time bomb. And unlike last season, they're not 13 games over 500 where they're building up something that they could, they would have a little bit of wiggle room. Now, granted, last year they imploded entirely and missed the playoffs still with 79 wins. This season, they're just playing a dangerous game. So tell me what you guys think. If you think I'm totally off with the pitching being the biggest issue right now, I get it. The offense is terrible. I've been hard on the offense too, but it's just, this has been a massive disappointment to this point this season. So let me know your guys' thoughts. As always, if you want to reach out, I know somebody was talking to me in NorCal Sports Network about wanting to try and get on the show, or, he said if they asked about reaching out to me directly, the best place would be to right down there, follow me on X or Twitter or whatever you call it. It's at EYD Show. You can message me directly on there. Otherwise, go Giants. Hopefully they can win one for Willie today. And I'm excited to see kind of how they honor him at Rickwood Field. It'll be a cool experience tonight. So like I said, go Giants, and I hope everyone has a good Thursday night. Thanks.